Okay, I want to take just a couple of minutes and talk to you about theories. You're going to be reading a lot of theories in this course. We're going to be trying to apply a lot of theories in this course. What we have here in front of you is a theory of a theory. So let me first very briefly talk about what a theory is. And I'll start by talking about what it is not. A theory is not a hunch. A theory isn't a feel you have. It isn't a guess. Now, it's important to point this out because we all talk about having this theory or that theory at home with our families, on our back porches, or wherever. And the bottom line is we're not using the word properly. Now, you can continue to use that word in lay speech, but in the academic world, theory is something much more than that. Theory is something short of a law. A clock is chiming in the background here. Something short of a law, so we wouldn't say, one of the laws of thermodynamics, for instance, is a theory. We'd say it's a law because it's sort of provable and observable. So a theory very often discusses something that we may not initially be able to, with 100% certainty, prove. Nonetheless, it is a well-organized, highly rational, well-thought-out explanation for how something works or what something is. And it is based on evidence. Sometimes that evidence is just purely rational thought, logic. Sometimes that evidence is different studies that give us different things, but again fall short of some sort of burden of concrete evidence or proof, which is a big word in academia. Proof is very, very difficult to come by. So we use theories. So theories are formal, typically, although they're practical, as we'll talk about at the bottom. They are well organized, well thought out, well reasoned explanations for how something takes place, and they take into account evidence. Now, having said that, most of you, if not all of you, are accustomed to thinking that one theory is true about any given thing. So if you see two or three theories about the same thing, you assume one of them has to be right, one of them has to be wrong. The reason I think this is true is because I've been teaching for years, and whenever we teach multiple theories about something, always there are lots and lots of students who say which one of these is right, which one of these is wrong, and then there are a number of students who throw up their hands and say, I don't like theory because there's so many of them and nobody knows which one's true. Some of you know that I'm speaking directly to you on this point. So I'm going to explain to you two different types of theories. It's a broad way of thinking about it, but I think it will help you. So please focus in on this just a minute. On the left side, you'll see exclusive theories. Exclusive theories are mutually exclusive. They are theories where a given theory is explaining how a very specific concrete thing works. So we have a theory on how rain falls on the planet Earth, and it is a scientific theory. If we have two of them and they say two different things, we can assume relatively safely that one of those two is incorrect and the other one is right. Or in the very least, both of them could be wrong, but we can be sure that both of them can't possibly be true because they contradict one another. So exclusive theories, when you find out that you have been wrong, you come up with a new one. Or you may modify the original one a little bit to make it more accurate, more right. But the point is, you can't have 5 theories about the same thing if they're exclusive theories, because an exclusive theory attempts to give you a very concrete, precise, and technical explanation of something and leaves very little room to wiggle. Now, on the other side, contextual theories. This is what we're going to be looking at most of the time in this class, although there are both. Contextual theories are about context. I'm going to quote an anthropologist, a cultural anthropologist. Rosen is his last name. And he said that theories are a series of lenses through which to view different facets of the same thing. So a series of different lenses to view different facets or different features of the same exact thing. So imagine sitting with a group of people in a circle around the room with an object in the middle. Each one of you would have to describe the thing in the middle from your particular angle and line of sight and your position in the room. Each one of you would have a different explanation unless the object looked exactly the same from every side. But assuming that it does not, because most objects do not, you each would have a different theory of what this thing looked like. You each would be correct. You would just be correct based on the particular angle, again, in line of sight that you're using. So, in terms of human learning, you do not have to try to make a decision about whether behaviorism is correct, whether behaviorism is accurate, as opposed to or over and against social cognitive theory or cognitive learning theory. You do not have to make that. You do not have to say, is it simply reward and punishment and reinforcement, or is it self-efficacy and self-regulation and mastery experiences and all these internal constructs? It is both, or certainly can be both. These theories are contextual theories. They're looking at different aspects. Everybody knows that punishment works to some extent. Everybody knows that reward works to some extent. The question is not whether behaviorism is correct. The question is whether behaviorism is fully sufficient to explain everything about human learning. And it's not. To have an argument over these types of theories would very much be like having an argument with someone about a chocolate brownie and a person saying there's sugar in it and the other person saying no, there's chocolate in it. And then the third person saying, hold on, both of those things are in there. Why are you arguing about this? You're just looking at different ingredients of the same item. Now, there are macro theories we talk about. Illuris is an example of a macro theory that sort of tries to look at the whole big picture and take all of the little micro theories, the little contextual theories, into account. Your takeaway from this is whenever you read a theory in this class or anywhere else, the very first thing you need to ask yourself by reading the theory is this an exclusive theory that requires that other theories be false, if it's true, or is it a contextual theory that may be speaking to a very specific aspect? Is it a contextual theory that may in fact be true of some learners in some circumstances at some time? If that is the case, then those theories are very useful to you and they amount to tools in a toolbox from which you can draw teaching methods and strategies in concrete practice. Now, at the very bottom, you'll see formal and practical on both sides. That's because formal theories are formal theories that have been published through academia and have become popularized and confirmed more or less over time and have been written in such a way that they stand the test of time and are well known. Practical theories are the ones you use in everyday life that may be fantastic, that may be accurate, and in fairness may actually be publication worthy. But since you may not work at a job where you publish things, no one will ever know about your theory. So we want to make sure that we are not downplaying practical theories that you have. That's why you're going to be sharing some of them in your posts, just because they're practical theories and not formal theories. Now, it is true, formal theories have been through a vetting process, a validity process, that makes them a safer bet overall than any given individual practical theory that you may think up or I may think up. But you cannot summarily dismiss a practical theory just because it is not published somewhere. Formal theories, in fact, were practical theories. I like to say that formal theories have just been dressed up and taught which fork to use at the cocktail parties. Really just a matter of going to refining school. They have more privilege and power. They have voice. But in the end, whether they're good or bad has to do with the empirical test of time and normal rules of validity. So, what do you need to do with this? You need to read every theory in this class and first decide, is this an exclusive theory or is this a contextual theory? If it's a contextual theory, then don't be trying to think about whether it is more true or less true than the other. Think about in what ways it may be true and what it could mean for you with certain students in certain courses. I hope this is helpful. Feel free to respond back with any questions or comments that you have under the weekly blast.